Welcome in to another show on the Tate's Take. How is everybody doing today? Welcome into the show. And if any of you, most of you probably listening, are living in Michigan, it feels like fall football weather. It hit quick. So Monday this week, it was hot and humid. I went for a run. It was hot. It was 80 degrees. And then the next day, I went to the Detroit Tigers playoff game. It was cold, rainy, and now we got football weather. It feels like fall right now. I'm excited because that means I don't know. When the weather feels like this, it feels cold, but also sunny. You're not getting that snow yet. It feels great. It's football weather. Welcome in today. I'm excited for this show, and we got a lot to talk about. We have a lot of big games this week. Not all ranked top 25 games, but we have a lot of big games that I have to hit on, so we got to get into it. As always, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hopefully you guys have been following the picks on Twitter and Instagram. We're killing it this year. Another winning week last week. We're 3-for-3 on the spread picks. Just missed the money line parlay with Texas losing, but doing really good. I believe we've won 5 of the 6 weeks. You have won money if you tailed every pick. So that's a good thing. So keep that going. This week you'll see those picks tomorrow afternoon. So last week, the big event for me in terms of what I thought was Penn State. Obviously, they lose to UCLA. Penn State's a dumpster fire right now. They're not top 25. A lot of people are calling for the head of James Franklin. That he has had talent after talent after talent and just has not gotten it done. This was supposed to be the year. They had all these returners, brought in Jim Knowles on the defensive side. They just can't do anything offensively. And when you give up 42 points to UCLA, it does not matter what you do offensively. You're going to lose the game. So disappointing loss there for Penn State last week. Vanderbilt, that game was closer than the score. The final score was 30-14. Alabama wins. Alabama should have won the game. Nothing there. But I know a lot of people were upset that Vanderbilt didn't cover the 13.5. I think it ticked down to 11.5 by the end of Saturday, right before the game kicked off. But other than that, I look at it. Texas, disappointing loss at Florida. I look at that and I say, it's tough to go play at Florida. Texas just has not been the team we thought. We'll talk about them in a little bit for their game this week. But all in all, pretty routine. I'm looking through the scoreboard right now. The big game, Miami against Florida State. Miami is, if Ohio State's 1A in the country right now, and maybe Oregon's up there, Miami is the next best team. They look really good. Florida State fought back at the end, but they're not as good, and they don't have the talent that Miami has. So I think we're back to Miami being relevant in college football. A buddy of mine, huge Miami fan, he loves that. He said, don't let this team win a national championship because they'll take over college football. I still don't think they're going to win it, but they're a team that you're going to see at the end of the year. So let's just jump in, okay? Let's get into week 7. I want to get into, we got 3 graphic games this week. For those of you new to the show, graphic games are top 25 matchups. You will see them right on the show, and I'm the one that creates those. So if you think they're really good, hey, I did them. If you think they're really bad, then I didn't wear it, or I didn't make it. So that's just kind of funny thing, but I like doing it. They're fun to do, and hopefully you guys think they're decent. It's not. I have a buddy. He can make those look like Tipton Edits does for college basketball and college football picks. I can't do that. So without further ado, let's get into week 7 of the college football season. Very hard to believe, but we are already 7 weeks into the season. So we have, like I said, 3 top 25 games, and I'm going to go. I like to do this. I pull up my CBS Sports app, and I just go down the list. We look at the time of games, and the first game is actually a graphic game. And it's one I love to talk about. It's Ohio State going on the road to play Illinois. Ohio State, number 1 team in the country. Illinois, number 17 team in the country. And the Buckeyes are 14.5-point favorites at Illinois. It's a pretty big line, but here's why. Ohio State's better than they were last year. And that's coming from a fan that watches them every week, watches every down, no matter what the score is, no matter what the circumstances are in that game. I'm going to watch it. And Ohio State has not given up double-digit points this year. Okay? you look at that and you say, okay, well, who have they played? Fair argument, okay? They played Texas. Texas is overrated, but they still only gave 7 points to Texas. They played Ohio, didn't give them double digits. They actually are a team that scored the most on them. They played Washington, who is known to be a very high-powered offense. It was at Washington. They didn't get double-digit points. So what I'm saying is this team is better than last year's team. And the reason I think that is I think the offense is actually going to be better. I don't know if you can say right now they're better. I like Will Howard a lot. I think Julian Sain's a better quarterback. He's a better pro prospect. The better running back room was last year's team, but and it's hard to say. Like, I'm saying Emeka Ibuka, who is starring in the NFL right now. I think the whole team of Ohio State's better this year. So that's why they're 14.5-point favorites at Illinois. Illinois has had 2 really good wins, okay, since they got destroyed at Indiana. Beating USC at home, huge. Then they took care of Purdue. It was early in that game they were actually down, but they took care of business. Here's when I look at the stats. I just think Illinois' offense, okay, we saw against Indiana, they could not do anything. And so when I look at the game and I'm like, okay, so when they played their best team that they've played on the schedule, Indiana, they could not move the football. Is Indiana's defense even comparable to Ohio State's defense? I don't think so. I don't think you can make that argument. And then I flip it and I say, okay, well, Ohio State's offense going against Illinois' defense. Well, we saw what Indiana was able to do to Illinois' defense, and we saw what USC was able to do to Indiana's defense or Illinois' defense. Add all that up, the Buckeyes should win this game. Covering, I don't know, 14.5, it's a lot. It's on the road. They have already played a big road game at Washington. That's a harder place to play. I just look at Julian Sain, and it's every week he grows. As an Ohio State fan, I get frustrated because I feel like sometimes they don't use his talent the way they could, but they're also dominating every game and they're winning. So why have Sain throw it 35 times against Ohio? You just don't need it. He's taking care of the football. Early in the year, threw a couple picks. I believe the Ohio game, he threw 2 picks. And he didn't throw one against Washington, and he didn't throw one against Minnesota. So he must have thrown one earlier. He threw one to Grambling. I remember that one. So he's getting better week by week. He's got Jeremiah Smith. He's got Carnell Tate. This defense is insane. Like, I don't have time to talk about the defense because I could talk about this game for the length of the show. I'm not going to do that because that's not what we do here. We're not biased. We don't just talk about the team I like. We move on. So we're going to move on. But Ohio State, I think, there's a reason they're 14.5-point favorites. They're just a better team. I think they're fun to watch because they stop everybody defensively. Minnesota went down, scored 3 points on the first drive. I was watching the game with my dad. He was like, wow, that was too easy. And my dad, those of you that know my dad, he loves his Buckeyes, and he's very funny about the Buckeyes because he doesn't want them to give up any points. I don't blame him, but they gave up 3 points, and they didn't give up a point the rest of the game. That's elite defense, and that's special. And Matt Patricia is making college quarterbacks look like freshman quarterbacks in high school. So big win for the Buckeyes this upcoming Saturday, I think. And then they got a couple weeks, and then they got Penn State, who that game might not even be ranked for Penn State anymore. So next game is actually another graphic game. Alabama goes on the road to face undefeated Missouri. Missouri is a team people are just don't know much about, really. They don't. Missouri is a 3.5-point dog at home. Missouri has wins over Kansas and South Carolina. Bo Pribula is the quarterback there. He's the guy in the graphic up here. And really good quarterback play in this game. Really good. Ty Simpson, what he looked like week 1 to what he looks like now, it's interesting because a lot of people look at that and they're like, oh, he's playing so much better. I think in the first game, Ty Simpson wasn't why they lost the game. I think it was their defense. And now their defense is starting to play a lot better. You got Jam Miller back. You got receiver room that is just underrated in terms of everyone knows Ryan Williams, okay? He's not even leading this team in receiving yards. It's Jeremy Bernard, who once was a Michigan State Spartan, who once was a Washington Husky. Now he's a Bama Crimson Tide. That doesn't sound as good as the other two. But they have really good receivers. They are a really good team. I like Bama to win this game. I do. I'm not discounting Missouri. Like, I'm not saying Missouri's not good. I just like this Alabama team a lot. I mean, early in the year, I picked them in the playoff. I like them a lot. Josh Pate, guy I like a lot for media for college football. He picked them to win the national championship. They're looking like that team a lot more now. The one thing, though, can they stop Ahmad Hardy? Ahmad Hardy, transfer from Louisiana Monroe. He is dominating. 700 rushing yards through 5 games. He has 9 touchdowns on the ground. If they can run the football, they will win the game. I think that just because of what we saw Florida State do when they beat Alabama. I think if they can run the football and move it up and down the field, which I think there's a script where that can happen, watch out because they deserve it. They're 5-0. Eli Drinkwitz is really good. He is one of the underrated coaches in the SEC. Not even to mention the whole college football landscape. He's a guy that, if Penn State fires their coach, they should go hire Eli Drinkwitz. I think he's a really good coach, very well respected. That's a hard place to go play. It is. And Alabama has had 2 straight tough games. They played Georgia 2 weeks ago at Georgia, and then they played Vanderbilt. So 3 straight, tough weeks for Alabama. I just think they get it done. I don't know about that 3.5, though. That 3.5, you could tell me they went on a field goal here. So for now, we're going to stay away from a pick, but I like the potential there for them. I also think the over could be a good play in this game. The over-under is 51.5. Both of these teams know how to score. They have elite offenses, probably ahead of the defenses, but that's not saying the defenses are bad. So really, really excited for Alabama, Missouri on Saturday. I just think that's a game that is sneaky. It has some sneaky potential, even though it's a top 25 game. At that time, I will be at the Michigan State UCLA game. Michigan State's 8.5-point favorites against UCLA. That's pretty crazy given UCLA just beat Penn State, but they are 1-4. So I will miss that game, the Alabama-Missouri game, and Ohio State's game, but I'm excited for being at that game. I think it'll be fun. Homecoming for Michigan State. I think they'll get it done. So I want to go to a game that 3 weeks ago, maybe even 2 weeks ago, you would have said, a week ago, you would have said would be a lock for a top 25 game. Oklahoma against Texas. Texas is actually the favorite in this game. 1.5 is the line. John Mateer sounds like he's playing. That's why that line is 1.5. I did see somewhere that if John Mateer doesn't play, they think this line moves more to 3.5, 4.5. So something to keep your eye on. The quarterback there is a guy, Michael Hawkins. We have seen him play for Oklahoma this year, and last year he started some games. But this game comes down to, it's a must-win for Texas. It is. And for that, I think I'm going to side with Texas winning this game. And that's just because when I think about it, I'm like, Texas has to win. They have to. And they went to a tough place in Florida to play and lost. And, Arch just isn't what people thought Arch would be. It's why Arch's family, all these people have said, this isn't a one and done, get to the NFL type of year for him. He wants to develop. He has to because he's losing some draft stock right now. But I like Texas. I do, because I think Texas has to win this game. They do. If they're 3-3 in October and have losses they're not going to make the playoff unless they run the table and get some help. So they have to win this game. I think they step up. I think Sark, he finds whatever he's got to do. He's got to scheme this game around their skill positions. They have really good running backs. They have good receivers. They got to use them. They just have to. And I say all that while at the same time saying Brent Venables is a really good defensive mind. And I don't know, for sake of time, I don't think I have the full capabilities to get into the depths of this game, but I think Texas wins. If John Mateer plays, though, he's not going to be his normal self. He's going to be rusty, and that's why I'm just going to side with Texas. I am, and desperation. So I think they win this game. The final graphic game of this week is Indiana going across the country to play Oregon. It's number 7 versus number 3. Guys, I could get screwed with this game. I could. But I think Oregon wins easily. and I think they win by 2 touchdowns plus. I like this Oregon team a lot. Um, I was talking to a friend, and he said, "Well, look at Oregon's best win. It's against Penn State. They barely won. Look at this Penn State team." I told him, I said, I think the Penn State home environment's worth 14 points. I said it's that good of a home field advantage that you got to bake that in when you factor in how the game went. Um, Dante Moore, the young running backs, DeCorian Moore. They're going to get Evan Stewart back here, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. Their defense is really good. Mateo Ugalele is super good. He's going to be a first-round pick. They got a good transfer in Dylan Tieneman from Purdue. I just think this is a tough spot for Indiana. Going across the country, you're playing Oregon, who is just a juggernaut. They're a team that at home they don't lose games at home. I like the Ducks. I like the Ducks by more than 8 points. It's a 7.5 point spread. I just see them winning this game, handling business. Could be wrong. We could get on this show next week and Indiana could have won the game, and I'll eat my words. I will. I like Indiana. I think they have really good skill positions, but think about their games last year when they went on the road, had to play the big team. They went to Ohio State, and Ohio State dominated the game. They went to Notre Dame, and Notre Dame dominated the game. That's my case here for why Oregon is going to win and win rather easily. And Dante Moore just keeps excelling. We keep seeing a new level of him, and I don't think their defense at Indiana is as good as you need to be to stop Oregon. I really think the only defenses in the Big Ten that can stop Oregon are Ohio State, and I could see Michigan. I really could. I don't think Michigan could score with Oregon. So if they played, I think could be almost a double-digit favorite. But at the same time, their defense could slow down Oregon. So that's my thoughts on that game. It's a very hard spot for me to look at Indiana winning. I don't see it. So some other games that are fun. I look at a couple games that are featuring one top 25 team, one non-top 25 team. Florida plays Texas A&M. We just saw what Florida did against Texas. It's still that Florida team that a lot of people were high on. They all stem around how does DJ Lagway play and how does that defense play. That's a game, Texas A&M, if it was on the road, I could see Florida winning. I think it's really hard to win at Kyle Field and Texas A&M. Georgia goes to Auburn. I'm excited for that game. That game's at the same time that the last game I want to talk about is, and that's Michigan against USC. For USC, they're both coming off bye, or USC's coming off a bye. They had some injuries when they played against Illinois. Can they get back some of these guys that were out on the offensive line? They had a couple defensive guys hurt as well. And then how does Michigan offensively play against USC? Because USC is not a tough team. They've not been historically a tough team. They're trying to pride themselves on that. We've seen glimpses of them being able to be a tough team, but then we also saw Illinois be able to march it down the field on them at will, and that's Illinois. I think Michigan's better than Illinois. So that's my X factor. And if it gets into a shootout, I don't think Michigan can win. I don't think Michigan can win shootouts this year. I don't think Bryce is at that point. Actually, I'm not even Bryce. I don't think they have the skill positions to do that. If Michigan can run the football, Michigan's going to win a lot of games. But if you can slow Michigan's run game down, which has been really hard with Justice Haynes, then I think you can win the game pretty easily against Michigan. The line's 2.5 currently. I think it's a fun game. It's our primetime game, and I'm glad that it's that game. My buddy Cole, he's going to be at the game. That'll be really cool. Get a vibe for what USC is about. They're not a crazy home field advantage. There's going to be a lot of Michigan fans there, but should be a lot of fun. As always, people, please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Enjoy the fall weather and just some really fun games this week. That's why I gotta say, 3 top 25 games, but a lot of top 25 teams in tough spots that they got to go win games. And that's the time of year we're at. You have to win the games where you're supposed to win, but maybe they're tight spreads or they're on the road games. You got to go win them. And we'll see you next week for another episode of Tate's Take.